Hello, I'm Rico Caviglia, and this is your Ageless Body Self-Care Guide, Operations Manual for your body and for your mind. And the title of today's session is Healthy Travel. And I think this is such an important one. I'm so happy to have this one as part of our overall guide because, traveling it can be definitely, it's known to, to kind of depress our immune system, and a lot of people get sick, especially in these days. So this is such an important topic to learn uh, how to keep yourself as healthy and keep your wellness program going while you're on the road. And we're very fortunate to have a true expert here. His name is John Ayo, and he is a professional speaker, a trainer, an author, and a traditional naturopathic doctor. And he focuses on inspiring and empowering professionals to stay energized, healthy, and balanced while traveling. So John, thanks so much for being here.
Rico, I'm excited to be on this program. This is awesome. And it'll be interesting to see how the world of travel evolves.
Yeah, no question. I definitely haven't been on a plane since the first part of the year, so it is going to be really interesting. But we'll get through this, and a lot of good things are going to be happening. So, since you're a naturopathic doctor, why don't we start out with just give us your definition of what you consider to be good health, a state of good health.
Well, it's more than an absence of disease. A lot of people look at it as absence of disease, and it is a state of well-being, mind, body, spirit, and emotions.
Yes.
And part of what's been going on for me, this has been a major personal transformation in my life this year. And so I'm going to start speaking more about this, is really the health of all four of those bodies, because if any one of the four is not good, you're not happy and well. So I call this my pandemic retreat that I never signed up for.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been trying to use this for. It's been quite challenging. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it has been really challenging, but a lot of good's going to come. One thing, I'm sure you agree, one hope anyway, that people really will realize how much important their health is, and they're going to start taking better care of their health, being exposed to all this stuff. Because as you know, too, primarily people who have only really gotten sick or even died from it because they already had some preconditioned conditions, or they had a depressed immune system. So that's so important. So hopefully that's one good thing. And then also that being a pandemic, just bringing more people together worldwide. So that's really a good thing. Okay, so let's get into the travel thing here. So what are the main areas that people should be considering when traveling, and ways that, things that can really impact your health?
Yeah, it's hard enough to stay healthy when we don't travel. When you get on the road, it's just adding a bunch of different stressors on your body that you can't control. So, and they're still out there. I can't make your luggage not get lost or your flight not get delayed, but
Yeah.
maybe we can focus on how you respond to those things. But there are things you can control, right? And so one of the biggest things is probably, as with all life, dehydration. We are chronically dehydrated. And when you get in this little metal tube at 30,000 feet, incredibly dehydrating. So we need to focus on hydration. I spend a lot of time talking about that. And one of the big things there is, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but something called structured water. Are you familiar with that? So there's three phases. We know liquid, solid, gas of water, but it turns out there's a fourth called structured water, and that's what's actually inside the cells of your body. So one of my travel secrets for folks is when you get your bottled water after you get through security, or you bring one with you, add about a tablespoon of chia seeds, C-H-I-A, chia seeds to your water, 20 minutes, that stuff will turn the water into structured form, which is more absorbable in your body, gives you some omega-3s and a little bit of protein. But it's fascinating because a lot of times I used to speak in Vegas a lot, and it's dry and people drink a lot of water and they go to the bathroom. So it's like a flash flood. This stuff actually hydrates your cells. So that's one of the biggies, hydration.
Good. So what's next? What about the air quality on airplanes and stuff?
Air quality is pretty good. I mean, the HEPA filters they have on airplanes are really almost like surgery centers. They're really, really high quality. So I wouldn't worry about that. The biggest concern, as with even in the past, is getting next to somebody that's sitting next to you coughing and sneezing and hacking, and that's not ideal. And hopefully you're not in that situation. And if you are, you can get away from it, but sometimes you can't. So yeah, as you know, the best thing we can do is boost our immune system to do what it knows how to do. And as a naturopath, I believe that the body knows how to heal itself if we'll give it what it needs, take away the things that are hurting it. And that's where we are. So That's one of the biggest things. And air quality certainly is a big deal, but I think airplanes are the least of our challenges. It's more when we land in certain places.
Okay.
Air quality's bad.
So what about food? That's the big one. So tell us how you try and still eat healthy when you're not at home to prepare your own meals.
Yeah, it's tricky. And for a lot of us, one of the things I've learned during this pandemic retreat, this is what I call it, my pandemic retreat that I never signed up for. And one of the things is how much money I save by not eating out. So I eat at home a lot now.
Yeah.
Right? And I eat pretty healthy. I kind of focus on an antifungal keto Mediterranean, basically taking out the processed carbs and sugars. And that's what you got to focus on, because we have to realize that sugar is one of the worst things you can put in your body in all of its forms. And many people don't realize grains are one metabolic step away from sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So avoiding those grains is key. When you can get the grains, get the sugars down, you're going to get your immune system up, because those things knock it out. So whenever I'm out and about and traveling, I try and bring what I can with me. That's always your safest bet. So I always have bars in my bag. But then I try and opt for, things that grow where possible. Now, depending on the country you're in, that can be a challenge, right? Because you have something, you're going to pick up parasites. So you have to make sure if you're in that kind of country that you are getting cooked vegetables. And vegetables is the primary driver. And then, fruits. Fruits are great, but they have a lot of sugar in them, a lot of them. So you got to be careful with that. So bringing things with me is a good thing. And, there's so many more healthy options now, Rico, at the airport than there used to be. Airports are like a mall now. And there's all these places you can find healthy food. You might have to look, but usually not as much as it used to be. So it's a lot easier.
I like that idea of especially if you're in a foreign country, is to cook the vegetables. Yeah. But as you know, I'm sure you probably I eat all organic here too. So, you don't want to get pesticides on your foods. But if you're eating out in a restaurant, there's not, there are some around if you could find one that serves organic food. But so what do you do if you go into just an average restaurant, and how do you try to decide what foods are best to eat there?
Well, the good news is outside the U.S., it's not quite as bad as it is inside the U.S. in terms of organic and pesticides and herbicides. So I have clients that I work with that are very gluten intolerant, but they can go to Europe and eat the bread and it doesn't bother them because they spray it with glyphosate, Roundup weed killer, right? So if you're in the U.S., you have to do the best you can, right? And so it's a trade-off. I'd rather have non-organic vegetables and salads than having, chicken fried steak and things that were not so good for us.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, it's a trade-off. And when you travel, you have to make these trade-offs. Again, some things you can control and some you just can't, especially when you go out to eat with a group. So, one of the things I did, I worked for IBM for over 25 years and I had a chance to travel to over 26 countries. So I learned the hard way. That's why I wrote my book, was based on my experience as a traveling naturopath. And when you're out in groups, business meals, things like that, you don't have a choice. We're going here, Rico. And so your best option is to find the menu online before so you can preview and scan for things to order. But sometimes it's the least of the worst options.
Yeah. Well, I think another point to make is that when you are in a restaurant, they're there to serve you, so you can speak up and tell them how you want things prepared and how you want it served and what you don't want on your plate and all that. So, so be proactive in that. I think that's a good thing too. And you mentioned your book, so that just gives me an opportunity to remind our viewers that there's a PDF that comes with this video. So be sure and check that out, where you can you get all of John's information and how you can contact him, and you can go on to his website, all that information, and you can check out. I know he has some tips on there, some really good tips, and it's this book that you can get, so you can get a lot more detailed information. Okay, so
we have one other thing for the folks in this program. If you go to a website called Kiwi Live, KIWILIVE, KiwiLive.com, type in the word travel, and that will connect you into my resources. And then you can get access to, my top 52 travel tips for you to use individually. It's got the first chapter of my book, a bunch of different resources in there that's available for you. So just go take a look at KiwiLive.com, type in the word travel.
Well, we'll put that in the PDF, so they'll have it. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so we talked about food. So what about exercise? That's a little bit more of a problem too. So talk about how you still get your basic exercise in.
Well, I think we should just sit on the couch and watch Netflix all day. What do you think, Rico?
Well, that's an option. Maybe not a real good one, maybe. But
surprise you. Okay, so again, it's like an option. You know, I go to a club called Lifetime Fitness here is my health club. It's like a cruise ship on the ground, and I love it. And it always amazes me when I see people circling the parking lot to get a closed space so they can go in and
No.
exercise. So the deal is when you see that too.
Well, I see it when I go to Costco, you know.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. And I'll just go park at the end of the parking lot, and I'll be walking in, and I see some of those same cars still waiting out there trying to get to
Yeah.
close parking. It's just ridiculous.
But it's even better when you're going to the health club to exercise and
Yeah,
you're
that's
in the
funny.
outfit. So the key is to opt for it, right? When you get to the airport and you see those moving sidewalks, don't take them. See the
Yeah,
escalators? Don't take them. You know, if you have the rolly bag with you, then you might have to. But for me,
yeah,
I always try and stay like in hotels. If I can get on the above the fifth floor, I mean, somewhere around the fifth to seventh floor,
yeah.
it's a great place to be. A couple of reasons is you can walk, take the stairs to your room, get that exercise in. But from a safety security perspective, you want to be on a floor that an emergency ladder from a fire truck could get to you. So
Mhm.
that's why you don't want to be too high if you can avoid it.
Yeah,
Because if you get in the 15s and above, you're probably not going to take 15 flights of stairs, but you might if you're in lower. So it's really a question of being aware and opting to find places to exercise. Of course, you can go walking. I love walking.
yeah.
And if there's places, if you're in countries where the security is an issue, find the mall, because usually a mall is indoors and they usually, I mean, it's sad to say, but I've been in places where you have the guards with machine guns, but you know, it's, you know, better than sitting in your hotel room, be afraid. So get out when you go to dinner, walk to dinner instead of taking the Uber or the taxi. Just look for ways to exercise and you'll find them.
Yeah, yeah, very good. And of course, these days too, most hotels have gyms these days too. So you can actually take care of go to the gym. But if you're
Mhm.
not staying at a hotel, again, you can just go out and do walk if nothing else, you know, and then just do basic things. What I teach, you know, what I call functional fitness. I mean, you can do some squats, you can do some push-ups, you can do some ab work in your hotel room or anywhere. No,
Yeah.
so that's problem. So there's no excuse for not keep some movement going, keep some exercise, some breathing, and all those things every day. Okay, so we talked about water and food and exercise. Any other ideas or any other things that
Yeah.
normally could impact people's health when they're traveling?
Well, absolutely. I mean, jet lag is a big one, right? So when you're traveling across time zones, so I have all of my tips and I have a whole chapter in my book on jet lag, but I'll give you the top ones. Number one, guess what? It's hydration.
Hmm.
Jet lag is dehydration above everything else. So when you're, you know, you get upgraded to first class on those international flights and here comes the alcohol. While it's good, maybe you can have a little bit and realize that alcohol is very dehydrating and you're
Hmm.
already in a space that's sucking water out of you.
Hmm.
Hydrate, drinking a ton of water before, during, and after that flight, looking at least 8 ounces per hour of flying. And then when you get to the other end, what you need to do is go find some ground. I don't know if you know about earthing, Rico, but getting
Earthing, I
bare
do it every
feet
day.
on the earth. Get bare feet on the earth. If you'll go out there for 20 minutes in your destination time zone, it'll sink you in to that time zone, number one, and it will
That's so
also
good.
help to discharge a lot of the static electricity from the airplane. So it is a huge deal. And guess what? It's free. You just have to go do it. So the earth is first. Second would be wet earth. And third best would be the ocean.
Yeah,
Get in the ocean. It's awesome because now you're in the minerals and you're there. So that's
yeah.
another big part of it. And then the third thing I'll just mention is another kind of bonus here. I've got like 12 tips. And the more of them you do, the more likely you are to not have jet lag. So the third one is staying awake till 9 p.m. those first 2 nights in your destination time zone. I know you may be tired at 7, but you got to push through. Do what you have to do to stay up till 9 for the first 2 nights, and you'll sink there very quickly.
So it's good to just jump into whatever time zone it is. Just pretend that like that's where you're being all the time, and just
Yeah.
just jump into the regular what's going on wherever you're at.
Well, so I live in Dallas, and so whenever I fly to Europe, American kind of owns me here, and so I almost always fly through London, and so it's about 6 hours difference. If I leave here, usually there's a 7 p.m. flight that gets in at like 7 a.m. or something in
Mm.
London time. So as soon as I step on that plane, I make a note. As soon as I step on the plane, it is now 1 a.m. I
Yeah,
immediately shift immediately in my mindset. So when you're on the plane and you see
sleep.
the little thing that says time in Dallas, time in London, I'm not looking at time in Dallas. I'm in London now. So are you going to eat dinner at 1 a.m.? Probably not. So
Right.
if you can avoid it, sink into that time zone, at least close your eyes, try and rest, and put your mind there.
Yeah, so that's good information. What about melatonin? Do you think melatonin helps?
I think melatonin is a great idea, especially those first few nights. as you know, when we get in the sun, which is something we need to talk about, I always talk about I have two sponsors, Rico. I have the earth and the sun. They don't pay a lot, but they really are very supportive. So we talked about earthing. Part 2, get in the sun during the day, look at the sun. And what it does is it activates your pineal gland to make melatonin. And so if you can do that during the day and then at night, take that melatonin about 8:30 or so, or 9, if you're going to go to sleep at 9, about 30 minutes before, helps your body.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, a really good thing is when you first get up in the morning, if you can just go outside right away and get some sunlight, that'll really wake you up, you know. Yeah,
Exactly.
so I'm totally into that. I do earthing every day. I'm fortunate to live close to the beach in the bay here in San Diego, so I go out and walk in the grass or on the beach or swim in the ocean every day, almost every day. So
Lucky you, man. That's
yeah,
awesome.
lucky me. Yeah, yeah. I have to. I agree. I'm very lucky. So, but those are some really great points, John. Let's see here. One question I was going to ask you. You know, tell us a little bit about how. I guess it's also about getting organized. So, how do you get organized so when you get ready to travel, so you're not, so you feel like you're prepared to stay as
Right.
healthy as you want to be.
Well, there's nothing worse than that feeling of, I know I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big list guy anyway. And so I'm a huge fan of building a travel list,
Mm-hmm.
taking it with, so use it, check, 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 check to pack your stuff. And then when you get wherever you're going and you're like, oh man, I forgot the whatever, add it to your list right there. So you have an updated rolling list. So when you go to pack in the future, it's very easy. You just check, 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 get it done. Make sure you order the stuff you need to ahead of time, like supplements. So one of the things that I think it'd be good to talk about probably, and it's probably on your list here, is the immune system and how we stay healthy. So one of the keys is to bring your supplements with you. So I have what I call my just in case bag, and I pack it, and I've got a bunch of different supplements for, you never know what. And I always pack it and go, God, I hope I'm not going to need this. But when you do, this is not the time to go on Amazon and start ordering. You need to have it with you.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
need things to help you with digestive issues. So I'm a huge fan of Young Living essential oils. I use a product called Digize, and then Digize is for digestion, Thieves for immune system.
Mm-hmm.
But bring whatever you need. Activated charcoal would be great to have on hand. If you eat something that does not agree with you,
Yeah.
food poisoning, you got to get
So
it
good.
early.
Yeah.
But the immune system part is the biggest one, because that's the biggest challenge we have. And as you know, the immune system functions up here, right? Until we have stress, and stress drops its ability to respond. Sugar drops its ability to respond. So traveling, have both of those in big form, sugar and stress. So if we can reduce the stress by listening to peaceful music, meditating, whatever that may be for you, walking, exercise, and then cutting that sugar down, as well as the dairy, because dairy is very mucus forming in the body. So cutting out sugar, dairy, and wheat are the three big ones. Of course, wheat is sugar. If you feel like you're getting sick, just immediately stop all that stuff, drink a bunch of water, take your supplements. And if you don't have any, because you're listening to this and go, I didn't get that pack that John talked about, you can always go to the hotel restaurant and ask them for a clove of garlic.
Oh, yeah.
It won't smell good, but if you'll suck on or chew that clove of garlic,
Yeah.
it'll knock out just about anything. It's potent stuff.
Yeah. So good. I would just add, I'm really into homeopathic remedies, and they're easy to take, little vials or little pills. So you can bring some homeopathic remedies too, especially if you feel like you're getting the flu or something sick, something like that. They really work really well.
They do.
Well, John, that was so good, so informative, so helpful. Okay, so my last question, and this is the hardest one, is I always like to try and ask all my experts this. I like to always say that, knowledge without action is useless, so we're just so encouraging people to really take action on the recommendations by all our experts. So what ideas do you have to inspire or motivate our viewers to actually take action on some of these recommendations that you just mentioned?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit of my story, how I got here, right? So I always start off my presentations and talk about how's an engineer MBA, turned IBM sales rep, become a natural health doc, and why do you care? I got sick about 20 years ago, and I went down this journey with the medical system, and they couldn't help me. So I went to the alternative side, started feeling better. My engineering brain kicked into problem solving, found help, support, and got fascinated with this space. And the lesson I learned that probably I think is the answer: when you have your health, anything is possible. But when you don't have your health, nothing else matters anymore. Nothing else matters. And obviously we're being shown that today in a big way with the current adventure that we're on. And I hope that this is a wake-up call for many to focus on their wellness preventively, not just to avoid COVID or the flu, but to avoid all chronic illness, because we have so much that we can do. There's still possibilities of things that can happen, diseases and issues that can come up, but you can certainly take a big impact on that, or have a big impact by your lifestyle choices. And this is not a diet. I'm sure you're not a diet fan either. This ain't a, I can't wait till this diet's over thing so I can go back. It ain't go back. This is a lifestyle choice. Eat this way, think this way, exercise, live your life this way, be in relationships that are positive and uplifting. Just again, we talked about the emotional, spiritual, and physical bodies and the mental bodies. Get all four of those lined up and wellness will be the result.
So good, John. Thank you so much for that.
Sure.
So once again, I just want you to know that that's what this whole project is all about. You know, that's why it's called the self-care guide, how to really take care of yourself so you can stay healthy and energetic and live a much longer, productive, joyful life and go out and make a bigger difference in the world. We need you to do that, right, John? So
absolutely. Well, you look, Rico and I are like 102, so you know we're still
combined. No, more than that's right. Yeah, absolutely. So again, I promise you that if you begin to follow all of our experts' recommendations, I promise you it's going to greatly improve your overall health and well-being. And that's what we want for you. So thanks very much for being here. Thanks so much, John. That was awesome.
Thank you, sir. It was